Okay, so let's start. And today we are going to just continue. Yesterday we discussed how we can build a REST API using the Spring Boot and Spring Data JPA, and the database was the MySQL, right?
Yeah.
So same code base we are not going to build again fresh, and just you can go the link and complete check. Uh, what is
Sorry, which one I need to complete?
let uh, which one complete? What are you saying?
Oh, you said that I need to go and you mentioned something about complete on the.
Complete.
Maybe it's okay. Maybe.
Just repeat the question. I'm not able to understand.
Oh yeah, you showed me that code, and
Yes.
you told me
Yeah.
like I.
Yesterday, we cover this part, na, how to build the REST API.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
yes.
and in the same, so our objective today, we are going to continue on the same. We are going to develop some more API, understand the more concept, right here.
Right, right, right. Yeah.
So I'm thinking not the same code base are going to again not going to start from the face. Like so,
Yes,
objective is
yes.
that
I understand. Yeah, yeah.
we are not going to start the phrase. Okay, so this is the just check we even you can check out the code and you can work, just go to the my GitHub repository and study project completed, like this is the Spring Boot JPA. Here this is all the codes available in the GitHub, right? Whatever study we
Oh,
did.
see,
Okay,
this is your GitHub.
yes. And if you want to complete code checkout, just go here and copy this. Already I'm written the command how can you can start the go to the git bash and just run this command and check out the code, and application is running, right? The steps I mentioned
Right.
here, how to run this code. So first step mentioned, you can just open the git bash. Let's say I open the git bash, and anywhere which directory you want. Maybe I want to work any different directory, any locations, which location you want. Let's say I'm go to the work on this maybe download folder here. So here I can open my git bus, any place you can open, right? So what is the path where you want to going to start your work, right? So now let's my C download. So I have to just mention here, go to the just say just clone the repository, means this is a git clone command, and whatever the repository path. So how to download this source code? We have two options. We have a download complete code zip, or just from this URL. Just copy this URL and go to the GitHub. Just say git clone. Okay, git clone, and just paste the URL. You are able to download the complete code base, right? And just say uh, after that go to in this directory. Notice which folder you are writing this command. Same folder. Notice this is the here. This code base download again. Okay, so where you are running this code command, maybe bit C drive, let's say, or D drives, any places you are running. Let's go to the D drive, and D drive. Here I am just opening the git bash, right? Git bash. So now you are a D drive, right? And here you say uh, git clone, okay, and just paste the URL, okay, okay. Oh, mm, I am not something. This is the your URL you are here, and just say hey, just close this, just close this, and which drive? Let's D drive. I want to open the git bash. Just open the git bash and git clone, and just copy the URL you have, right, and your code repository down quickly, because there is notice in the D drives this folder already available, right?
Right.
And in this folder, go inside folder, and you notice this complete folder available. You can open your palm file and start developing. Okay, there is nothing required, complete project available you. Okay, so till now it's okay, and you can start test each and everything, right?
Right.
So instead of going to develop the fresh, just start from the existing code base, right?
So GitHub basically you're downloading the code from internet.
From yes, I download internet from this GitHub repository code base.
Okay, so
And
that's the main functionality of a GitHub.
yeah, now let's say I'm using my laptop. Anywhere I'm go and I check out the code, I start working, right?
Hmm.
Now it's complete code base available here, and just notice all the started code, whatever we can, I'm getting here, right? This is our all the things which is started with written, right?
Right, right,
All are the available, and even you can just start and run and test everything you can do, right?
right.
Just start the application and test. This is the our endpoint like slash users. They return all the database, right? Data. So let me check it's work or not, right?
Yeah.
So this is the way we are continuing work on the any place, anywhere. Okay. Now our server is started. Now it's starting. Due to that, whenever generally I write code, I just commit in the GitHub. Maybe our laptop, maybe machine crash. So still our code base, our repo available in the repository, right?
I have not used GitHub
I
before.
very just open source available for uh, storing any file system, you can say.
Okay, okay. So
That's
you use a lot in your organization?
generally for my own purpose, and even in the company, generally we are using GitHub to storing the code bases. Almost major company are using the GitHub. All the code base is available in the GitHub, right?
Hmm.
Almost all the open source applications mostly with the GitHub to
Do you
store
know
your code base.
what is Jira used for?
Jira is the one application that's maintain your task, what the task you are doing, what is the current status, what is the plan, what is the plan time, how much you completed. This application management tracking tool, right? Whenever
Oh, I
you
see.
plan to start one particular software project, at that time you want to track something, right?
Yeah, yeah, I understand. Okay, okay. To keep track of the development of the project
Right.
or any
So
task.
let me check this server started. Yes, it's started. Let me uh, maybe browser or post, you can anything go to the local host.
I'll be right back. Ajay bhai, give me 1 minute.
Okay. Users. So we are getting the existing record. Let me come back. Hmm. Okay.
Uh, I'm back.
Okay, great. So let's start. So we started server and we test its API responding, right? What are the data
Right.
it started created, right? So now it's okay. So now today, let's we develop this microservice yesterday, and we are going to develop let's one more resources. Maybe here we talk about like yesterday we create the user, right? And lots of user details we have available, right? Okay. Now we are going to, might be this is another resources or the object, maybe department, right? Department. Okay, department is the resource. Let's create some department, different department can be, right? What department doing?
Right.
An objective is that let's create the first department database table, and we are going to store all the department details here. What is the department ID, department name, and descriptions of department, right? And this also need the create, update, get operations, all the departments. Similarly, like user we did, and once users is created and department is created, then we have to going to make a relationship, right? Relationship between this. Ki might be one user can work for particular department, right? Or right, correct? Maybe similarly, like we can go to create for the address. Okay, address,
Right.
user address have a city name, details name, each and everything, right? So
Right.
our objective, we are going to understand how more than one entity or database or objects are going to relate to each other. And the reality, always human being have belong to some kind of relationship. I belong to lots of relationship. I have a relationship with my office. I have a relationship with my family. I have a relationship with my country. I have a relationship with my parent. I have a relationship with my child, right? So
Right.
in
Right.
real life, we somehow in different way, we as a human entity are related to the different human, different entity, right?
Right.
Similarly, in the software, let's you created one user details. Might be one detail can be address detail, right? One can be department detail, right? Right. So in this way, we are going to develop more application. This is completed ki how user you can manage the details, right? But I want ki what is the address detail of this Ranjan? Yes, Smith, right? So might be address detail, city name, address ID in each and everything, right?
Right.
So instead of storing all the address in the address here itself in this attribute, it would be good we can address in the separate table, right?
Right.
Question is why? Let's say my user can be I'm itself my user, right? And maybe my wife can be user, my child can be user, right? Right? And my address, my wife address, my child address can be the same, right? Because we are
Hmm.
living in the same department, right? So if let's example, your address name, city name, pin code, all I'm going to store. So here in this case, if you are putting those information in itself, like here username, email ID, similarly you can put the city name, pin code, each and everything, right? You can put here all the details. Notice if user are belong to the same address, you are repeating data in the multiple time, right? Are you understand the point? Why
Yeah.
we are going to use? So let's one case I have only one user tables. In this table, currently what we have your your ID, your name, your email, right? It's good. And what happen? I can maybe add more address detail like city, like country, like pin code, like ABC, right? The address detail. So I can add this in user. We can add extra information, right? We can
Right.
add. But what happened? I'm going to add one Ranjan detail. This is Ranjan details are added. Ranjan ID, Ranjan name, Ranjan email, is city, address, country, pin code. Similarly, Smith. In Smith, one row are added. Is Smith email ID, name, email ID, city, address. What happen if two person or three user have a same kind of details, right? You are duplicating same data again, different row, right? Let us example my detail, my email ID, my name, email ID difference, my city, my location, my pin code. Similarly, my daughter have a different ID, different name, different email, but address is the same, right?
Hmm.
Similarly, my my ID, wife have a name, wife have an email ID, but address is the same, right? So notice these informations you are duplicating here in the same database, right? So avoid duplications, putting same data again. Why? Why not you are putting in a separate copy? hey, this is the address, and address have address detail, and just mention, hey, your address is this address, right? Your address is this address. Your address is this address, right? So this is
Hmm.
the make a relationship. Are you getting understand?
Yeah. So do we have a concept for primary key? Nothing like that.
Yeah, this is the ID is the primary. Primary key is the concept where you can uniquely identify the any object,
Okay. So
right?
ID is the primary key here.
ID is the primary key here. Okay, correct. You are right. So it's clear key what we are going to study. We are going to study relationship between the different entity like user. This is the currently user entity we have created. Similarly, one more entity we are going to create the address.
Address,
Okay.
right?
Similarly, we are going to further next class we are going to create more entity like a department. Might be user are
Right.
working somewhere, right? Users are living somewhere, right?
Right.
Is it clear? And later part we are going to understand ki how we make a relationship, right? One, okay, it's clear.
So we need to make a relationship between these uh, tables
Yes.
class. Yeah.
Okay. So as a Java model, we understand ki how we can already uh, we have understand this relationship. In all this relationship, we are going to talk already. We have covered in our core Java course, right? Where we know how to make a these class are related to this class. We have multiple concept study. One study inheritance, right? One
Right. Right.
inherit study uh, is a relationship. We have already under is a relationship, and that is inheritance, right? We have already read has a relationship, right? Has a
Right.
relationship as
Right.
a composition, right? So these are the thing. Inheritance and compositions are going to use in our applications. So whatever we learn in the core Java series, all are the slowly, different case situation they are going to use. In here also, here we are going to create the user object, address object, department object, and making a relationship. So might be I can use this is a relationship or has a relationship. So
Right.
generally, we are always say prefer use the has a relationship. We already know how to write has a relationship means composition in a Java code base, right? So we are going to use this further classes, right? So whatever we are going to learn, always we have refer our past lecture, right? It's clear.
Hmm.
So let's start. Before going to developing anything, first we have to clear what we are going to do, right? So it's clear we are going to like yesterday we are developing REST API for user entity, right?
Hmm.
Similarly, we are going to today create uh, address entity. So here I am talking entity, or you can say object, or you can say resources. All are the synonym in the microservice REST API concept. I can sometimes say this is the resources, right? Sometimes say this is the entity, right? Sometimes say this is the object, right? So object is the complete core Java concept terminology. Or sometime I'm saying ki this is the Java model, okay? This is the model. So these are the terminology. Sometimes I'm asked, so don't confuse. I'm saying resources. Resources means I'm talking in the context of REST API. This is the one resources, right?
Right.
One database table, one object, right? When I'm talking about the entity, entity generally refer from the database table. This is the one table, okay? From user already created user Java model. Sometimes case a Java model or sometimes it's simple object. So all are refer one Java object or one database table or one something, right? So all
Right.
are sometimes interchangeable, but meaning is clear. If I'm talking about the resources, means ki we are talking about the microservice concept as a endpoint. Okay.
Right.
Similarly, I'm talking about the simple Java object, simple Java object. Uh, General terminology as a object oriented, we say this is the model. And the database terminology, you can say this is the entity, right? The different terminology, don't confuse, right? But ultimate, all are referring one Java class. Clear?
Right.
So here notice study we create user class, right? You created call start a user class,
Yeah.
and we mark this class as a what mark as a entity, right?
Right.
Entity. So whenever you say add the word entity, that means ki our Spring framework going to create one database table for you, right? And whatever the column I given, a column 1, column 2, column 3, start give a column ID, name, email. So in the database, 3 columns are created, right?
Yeah.
It's clear. And here your ID, uh, name, and email.
Name, email.
And now after that, I'm going to create the post API. Say post API say, hey, create one user. One user. The first we creating the one Java object. Now here we have a Java object. Object have a ID. Object have a name. Object have a email. Right. This object going to save in a database. Database consider a one row. Database consider a one row.
One row. Yeah.
Again we say push, and again it's metadata. In Java, you Java now Java object now created with an ID, with a name, with a email. Now I say save in the database. In the database again going to save in another row, right? Another row. So all the row in the database just consider as a Java object, right? This is the again new object created, Smith, right? Smith have
Right.
ID, name, and email ID. This is going to again store database in a one rows, one row. So here be clear how our class means just in the database as a data table name, right?
An entry, proper entry.
No,
Like,
no. Just class means database one table. Table
yes,
means
but
class name. Class name have a your field like name, ID, age. So those column created. Those column created.
right. But what I'm saying, each ID, name, email, all three together. You see all the drawing you have at the bottom, like
Hmm,
1, 2, 3.
hmm.
These are object, right?
These are the three object. Object one,
Yeah.
object two, object three, and
Right.
these are
Right.
the
Right.
three object in a Java terminology.
Yeah.
But in the
Yeah.
database terminology, these are the three row. Row number one, row number two, row number three.
In database language,
Database language is a, this is the one row or entry. One row or entry. One
Java
row or
call it
entry.
object. Yeah.
And here class is just blueprint. Where just tell ki, hey, this user have these three attribute, right?
Right.
Similarly, here table is just blueprint. Where say, hey, table have a three column, ID, name, age.
Right.
So be clear here mapping ki what I am referring. All are the interrelated, right? Now it's
Yeah.
clear what is the class. In the Java class, the simple class where we mention this is the name ID field, this is a blueprint, this is a designs. On the basis of this class, we can create the object one, you can create the object two, we can create the object three. Using this template, using this blueprint, you can create any number of object. Object is a real entity, right? Object have a name. Ajay, Sanjay, Bijay, Anish, Riyad, right? These are the actual objects. The actual object are stored in a database as a column. Column one, column two, actual value. Actual value is stored in the row and column value, right? Any confusion? What is the database table? What is the row? Similarly, in the Java, what is the class? What is the object?
Yeah. I got it. Class is
In
a
the before,
blueprint. Yeah.
yeah, your question?
Class is a. It's called blueprint, like
Yeah,
a structure,
structure, template.
template. How the database is designed. That's the
Yeah.
template inside of it.
This is the here in the Java, you can say class is a blueprint. Similarly, here table name, table is a blueprint. Means कि table say, hey, table name is the user,
Yeah.
and column name is the ID, column name is the name, column name is the email. So this is simple template. And
Right.
now actual object you creating from this class, you creating one object, right? And
Right.
saving them. So this is the actual object stored in the particular table structure. It's clear?
Right. Ajay, bhai, Oracle and SQL. It's not the same thing. Oracle is
What
a
is
software. Oracle.
Oracle is the software, right?
And SQL
For
is a
for
language.
for uh, software is built for some purpose, right? So
Hmm.
why it's Oracle? Oracle is the company. First thing, Oracle is the company. They have a built software for the database for storing object, storing value, storing information, right? Those
Right.
software name also they given initially Oracle. Okay,
Right.
Oracle is the what is the RDBMS, Relational Database Management System, right?
RDB BMS. Yeah. Yeah.
RDBMS. So for that, whenever we study database as a program, so SQL is the structure query language. SQL is the structure query language which talk to those database software. How we
Oh.
say, hey
Yeah.
database, please store this my Java object.
Okay. Okay. I understand.
So
That's
how
language.
how our database software understand using the structure query language. This
Right.
is the human readable, high level English driven language, right?
Right. Right.
Similarly, as a Java, Java kya? Java is a programming language. Why? They are help us to serve our purpose, right? Solve my
Right.
problem. We follow some syntax and semantic so that Java compiler can understand. Similarly, whenever you're going to talk to the any database software, you have to follow the structure query language, SQL. It's clear?
Yeah. Clear.
So in our application, what we are developing, like Spring Boot for developing our REST API and microservice concept, and for the SQL for database communication, we have used Spring Data JPA. Spring Data JPA internally use Hibernate to talk about all the query part. As a developer, as a software, we are not manually writing query to save data or get data, right?
Right.
We are just delegating our work, all the structure querying SQL language to your JPA, Spring Data JPA. It's clear?
Right.
So
Yeah.
we are using the intermediary. We are using the third party, a person. Hey, person, you do this work. Similarly, for all the database operation, I just delegate my work. Hey, Spring Data JPA, you take your responsibility. This is my object. This is my object. I want to save in the database. Just you take your responsibility. You decide how I'll do, and they are doing for us, right?
Right.
Any basic confusion, doubt about this Java
Yeah.
world,
I'm good
Java
now.
class,
Yeah.
Java object, database table, and database row?
Yeah.
Good. Slowly, slowly, this concept will take time, very basic thing, but until we are not discussing, it will not become clear, right?
Right. Right.
So whatever we discuss, let's look then code. Already we cover this, but just revise. So yesterday we written this class. Notice this is the class. This is the class we written, right?
Right.
This is the class we written and say, hey, this is the my class, okay, and only say ki this is the my ID is the and one is the name and one is the variable. Three field we can decide. In the Java we can say this is the class, this is the variable name, variable two, variable. Then the field one, field two, field three, right?
Right.
So till now there is no need, just placeholder. What is this? Name is a placeholder. They can hold the name. Email is a placeholder. They can hold the name. Just template, right? ID hold the value. Actually, I'm not writing any value, right? These value are requested by the user, requested by the from the postman or swagger or the URL, right? So these
Right.
are the just template. So here class is just blueprint a template, and these are the fields which define. Similarly, in MySQL, MySQL and password and so databases. For databases, we have started created a user DB, use user DB, right? Now,
Right.
so tables, they are created tables. So yesterday we created one user table. The user table, this is the table, same look like here, simple is the class. Okay, this is the user table, and they have a what? ID, name, address. Okay, so if you so table user. So tables. Hmm. Some command. So let me check. Google MySQL. So schema. So schema. The command I have to use describe. Okay. So I have to use the describe. Okay.
Right.
Notice describe. Describe say ki tell me the descriptions. What is the user? The user have a three field ID, email, and name. Right? This is the in the general database also say this is a field. Okay. Sometime as a human database you can say column name. Right? The one way if you want to check any table, what are the details? You can say describe your table name. Right? And here say I want to know, I want to check any value they hold, then it can select star from your user, right? Here say here. So notice this is the ID the column one, email, and name is the name. So all the data we are going to this is the actual object. This is the object one, object two, object three. This is the like row. And in Java, you see it is the object.
Right. In SQL, they say every one is a row. It's an
Uh,
entry.
this is the entry you can say, row you can say, yes. And similarly, in a Java, you can say object. This is the class, and you can create new object and set some value name something, right? So notice here in this post request. This is our post request. Whenever we receive, this is the Java object. The here till now, this is the Java object, right? A Java
Right.
object have username, ID, each and everything. That is sent by your requester, application user, right? This is my username. This is my email ID, right?
Right.
Once you say, hey JPA, go save this data in the database table. JPA go and saving those information in this particular row. So now your object become a database as a row. It's clear?
Yeah.
So let us open a postman. Let's open a postman. Okay. Postman. And just create a new object, right? These are the basic things. Whenever we are going to talking lots of uh, talking subject started. We are starting something different. Let's here we are going to posting different post, and this is my user. I am going to body and say, hey, this is the Anis and email ID Anis Gmail. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So till now here this is the plain JSON object. This is format known as a JSON, right? By default we are sending request in the form of JSON. Is clear? One thing here, Postman, we are sending, we can send the maybe none form data. Here, form data you can option key value, or raw uncoded value, or raw value simply any strings, or raw we have option. We are sending as a text, JSON, HTML, XML. Postman support you can set any kind of data. But here we are by default Spring Boot or nowadays all the software are expecting requests come in the form of JSON. JSON can easily readable, right? So here
Right.
we are writing JSON. JSON is the just template, just a format how you are arranging your data. So here say, hey, this is the name and name is this. Double quote colon key value kind of thing. Here double quote email and the email is value, right? So whenever this value I send to the server, here server. So let's you could start the server and we are sending the post. So let's start the debug point. I just put here debug, right? And I can stop them and I'm going to start this server as a debug mode. So they notice the two options. One is your run, one is the debug option, right? Just start as a debug mode. So whenever you start debug mode, your application give you option you can debug the code, right? Now let's start the application, right? Application is started, right? And now let's I am sending my Anis and Gmail do well. I said just name and this. Till now, this is the JSON object. Okay. Whenever I'm sending this JSON object to the this server, where localhost 808 server. Here my Spring applications are running, right? My
Right.
Spring application read this JSON. Okay. They receive this is a JSON format. Okay. Internally Spring framework are convert this Spring framework convert this JSON object to the Java object. Okay, Java object. So which Java object they are going to create? Because in the request mapping, you say this is the user object. So internally, they are going to create one user object, and whatever you value pass here, name and address, going to set name here, going to email set here. So now
Right.
inside your Spring framework, they created one Java object for this two value, and now you can receive this is a Java object.
Right.
So till this work from JSON to your Java object conversion automatically taken care by your Spring framework, right? How
Yeah.
Spring look, I have to convert because in your application you can create lots of Java classes, right? Lots of Java classes. So how Spring decide ki for this JSON I am going to create only user? Because here in this request mapping I have tell, hey, this is my post mapping. Whenever you user request whatever the body part, just convert to the user class, right? The Spring framework, due to this annotation, say ki whatever I am receiving from this body request, this is the body, this is notice, this is the body. Whatever the body request I am receiving, I am going to create the user object and try to set the value, right? It's clear how Spring know ki which value I want to set here. Here they pass name and email. So internally Spring know, okay, this is the user class, they have a name field. Yes, that means
Yeah.
name value are go to set name, email value go to set email, right?
Yeah.
So this naming culture they follow. This name should be match your Java class field, right?
Right. Right.
Good. And let's test send it. I am send it. Notice our code is stuck here. Debug point. Now
Right.
till now notice this is the request body come and notice here one user objects are created. Notice this is the one user object created and user object have a name Assis and this is your user Java object, right?
Oh, it's stuck here.
Because I put the break point means ki here processing stop break. Yeah. So I'm just going to demonstrate now. Notice this is the till now our user object created Anis and Anis Gmail. But notice till now in the database there is a no till now record, right?
Right. It hasn't gone there.
Because I have stopped this. Now I can say, hey, go and save this Java model to the database entry, right? So
Right.
this repository now going taking other responsibility and completing the work, right?
Right.
So let them allow to go. So here say lots of option you have to resume the program, right?
Right.
Resume the program. Let's resume. And they are successfully saved. And after that, let's check the database. Notice one more data created here, right? Notice
Right.
Anis. So now our Java model become a database one row. Okay. What happened? Let's I pass some incorrect value. Yes, instead of name, I say name test. So then what happened? Our Spring framework able to create this object or not, right? Let's check,
No.
right? Let me
No.
check.
No.
What is the problem? Let's again, uh, your application is to debug on here. Let's check Java object created or not. Let's send it. Notice they created object. Notice, but name is blank, ID is the blank, email is a match. Notice that means what happened here? Your whatever is JSON sending, JSON have a name test and email. So Java say ki this is the my user class. I am going to create my new user class and going to the set value. This is the name I am going to set. Email I am going to set. But name is I not found the name here. I not found name here. So I am not setting name here. I find email. So I can set the email. Notice So they are, you are taking some values or you are getting the null because you are, JSON attributes are not match your user entity.
Right.
So they are created your null as a name. So here some validation required to you, right? Here you can add validation. Hey, we cannot go add any employee, any user which name is null, right? This is a real use case, right? Here need to apply validation because if let's can I now I am resume the code. Say hey, say let's resume the code. Say hey, resume. Then let's continue save the. So now notice in the database we are able to save as a null name, right? It is really makes sense. Ki any employee which have email but no name, it's
It
not make
cannot
sense.
go.
It cannot go. Here we have to put validation. We put have restriction, right? Restrictions. So these restrictions, this validation known as a validation. And these restrictions you can apply in the both. Now there are two words. Here notice we have two words. One is your microservice REST API. This is the one word over microservice. One word is the data words, right? This is a two word. Your MySQL, right? We are communicating, right? So
Right.
here user sending a request, user detail, and user something incorrect value or none value. You have to option, you have to check here. No, I'm not allowing them. Second option, no, I can apply check here as well as in my column name, nothing can be null, right?
Right.
Both places you have option to apply validation, right?
Right.
You can go and in the database side say, hey, I don't allow my name column would be null. Or you can say, okay, because I know ki my database, no one directly interacting, user always interact to the my API. So why not I put just validation on my API side, right? API
Right.
received input at that time, say I check all the value are okay, then I'm okay. Else I can say, hey, it's not allowed, right?
Mm.
You have a multiple option. Generally, we are doing this validation on both sides in a real application, right? Might be someone, some admin go and using this MySQL command, they can put them insert query value. They say, hey, insert. Manually, you can put the value here, right? Notice in the logs, somehow, where is the log? In the logs, we have a somehow, notice this is a select query. Similarly, we have a something insert query as well as. Where is the insert query? I'm not getting. Okay, somehow they are not showing insert query. There will be insert query as well as they internally generate, right?
Yeah.
So let manually you can write insert, say insert, you can say insert table name user and say I am just going to put a name field name and values I say single quote here db syntax is different, right? Test and just added, right? Say ID column does not have a default value because ID is the mandatory. So let's keep pass the ID. ID let's pass 22, right? And here saying this is
Right.
the ID visualize. So similarly here ID you cannot set a blank. Notice one row created and just run. So notice here in this case, Mara null email and ID created. The some admin go to the database and manually create. So in this case, if you are writing only business logic on the API side, you are restricted to the human user, customer application. That's okay. But sometime your admin or maybe your database is exposed publicly, anyone can access. At that time, someone insert data that is the violate your business logic, right? So due to that, both uh, software, maybe your microservice can apply restrictions or your database server also apply restrictions, right?
Yeah.
So let me, as of now, we can add the validation on the server side, right? Microservice API side, right?
Right.
So just stop them server and just add business logic here. Here say whatever user receiving, I think if user dot get name is blank is null, you can check anything, right? So is null, we just check, right? Is null,
Right.
and I'm not agree to just uh return null. I cannot do anything, right? Return nothing. Maybe some later part we'll discuss, give some user defined message, right?
Right.
Right. Same thing, right? Here we cannot say anything, look like, right?
Right.
This is the way we can put the validation. Okay, here I want to put okay. If your user dot get name double equal to null, okay, null, I then I cannot do anything else. I can go to save my data, right? Only else
Right.
part. The business logic, one thing. This way, or you can say here, even I can, maybe I had a multiple if case. So here lots of now our concept like a multiple if, else if you can apply here. I also check the email cannot blank, right? I can set email. Both you cannot set blank, right? If blank, or any are blank or both are blank, you can say you can have even 2F, or you can just apply R. Any are blank, I am not allowing, right? R condition
Oh,
means any true.
like if any of the entry is blank.
I say return blank. I am not return interested to do anything, right?
Mm,
This is the one way. Here, at least your applications are not going to save any data, maybe name blank or email blank.
right.
So these are the slowly you are applying the validation logic. Here you are writing the manually custom logic, or you can use Spring Framework, others existing library allow us to do this testing, right? But as of now, we as a basic understand how we manually do it, right? So that we
Okay.
understand.
Okay. Yeah. 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 Understand. Yeah.
So let's start the server and test. Now we are able to set test data not, right? Let's test start then, right?
Sure.
Even here we can print message, like here we can print something message, right? Right. User, like you can say like user name or email cannot be blank, right? Email
Right.
cannot be blank, not be blank, right?
Right.
Or null, okay. Okay, in this way, we can message through. So as of now, just in this case, at least we are ensuring that this condition occur, then this code not going to run, right? So that means we are
Right.
returning null. Means we are not going to the save. So here s out, we are not going to the save, right? Yes, okay, let's go into the save. S out, user going to save. User going to save. Okay. So notice whenever I pass actual value, this message I am getting on the server, right? I'm
Right.
problem, then we return from here. This code is not going to execute, right, anymore, because we have applied check. And now let's get done. Started. Started. Yes, started. So let's have test here. Again, test. Notice we are not receiving anything, right? And here let's check the server logs. Notice we receive what receive? You receive ID null, name null, and email value. You say, hey, user or email cannot be blank, right? And in check the database, we are not able to add any new entry, right? Okay. So this way you are ensuring if you are pass the correct value, let's say I pass the correct value right here, yes, right? Exact value, uh, team, team, and if the correct value then our validation pass and it's saved properly. And notice here, they say, hey, we receive name, team, and email. It's okay. Means we are going to save value because we have checked only two validation, name and email, right? And notice this is the insert query return. Notice the insert into user email ID name this value, right?
Hmm.
So this way they are going to saving data. So notice now we can in the database we can check our new entry created for this team, right? Clear? So in this way, later part we can also discuss why we cannot add this validation on a where database side. We can do, right? Notice here our system by default, if you pass ID null, is still there out. They internally generate ID, right, for you
Right.
and put the ID value. Similarly, on the database side, we have applied the restriction. Hey, database, can you throw exceptions if someone passed this null or not null? Right? So instead of I write manually code here, why not we just intimate someone my framework, Spring framework, annotation, something, right? So those things we are going to learn here and the here. Here we have some annotation and ID. Similarly, we can apply some annotation here. Name cannot be learner, email cannot be null, something, right? So here you have to annotation like uh, not null. Notice this cannot be null, thus, and this also say cannot be null, right?
Right.
Okay, and even let's and stop them. And here say I'm not going to write this code again. Okay, I'm saying, hey, already I'm defined here. कि this cannot be null and this cannot be null, right?
Right.
And let's this R is blank. Lots of validation, lots of means Spring. Lots of you have to learn just annotation. How to tell them, yeah, this is my requirement. How Spring can handle it, right?
Right.
And now let's test something wrong, right? Okay. Still they create. Notice they created. Still they not this validation not work, right?
Right.
They have still they we at least don't want to save them, right? Even this I think maybe it require different annotation, not maybe let's check Spring. There are different annotation required. Spring mm, uh, data JPA not column not null, right? Fill not null. Fill not null check. Null. You have to just look, okay? Lots of things you can apply and learn here, right? So somehow they have a not null check, which not null parameter. String data entity here something. Okay, ID null entity. I want to not null. Not null is null queries. Something some annotation somehow. No, 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 no. It's not make sense. So we have to maybe explore them, right?
Right.
I'll figure out keyword the at the rate entity p at entity field at the rate entity field. Okay, entity class. Lots of fields available here. You can just mention like a column. Okay, column not nullable. I think something. Okay, JPA column at the rate column not nullable something. Here say column nullable true or false something, right?
Right.
Something. You have the different annotation. So here say this is the at the rate column and Again, say what say? You can say something not nullable, right? Not, right? Not. No. Here say nullable. Okay, sorry. Nullable is equal to true false. Yes, nullable equal to true false. Nullable allow, nullable false means this cannot be null, right? So this is the default. Okay, this annotation we have to apply, right? Now you are saying, hey, this
So
column
what is
can
the difference between not null and this?
these are the database means ki this is the Spring JTS say ki I need this annotation to check the particular column null or not null, right? They are apply the
Mhm.
database there, right?
Okay.
Okay. So let's check again. So we have to generally in Spring we have to learn lots of annotation. Means ki our purpose how annotation serve a Spring framework, a Spring data JPS serve, right?
Oh, so a lot of annotation. That's
Yeah,
how.
depend upon the because different use case, different annotation, right? And our
Mm.
use case we have to now let's test it again. Now notice some internal error, right? 500 internal means ki you are at least our annotation works and throwing, hey, it cannot be blank, right? Let's look the log, right?
Right.
So now notice here, they are throwing what exception? This notice here, uh, not null attribute is null or transient value. Notice which com dot username name cannot be blank, right? In
Right.
this way, you are throwing stopping the values. Now here, now your database, now you are ensuring this field cannot be null, right? So even now this code you know don't need to write, right? Not needed, right? Because
Right.
annotation by default work for you, right? So here you are doing from manually. Here you say this same work, this is the same work done by your Spring framework for you, right? It's clear
Right. Yeah.
how to apply validation on individual fields. It's clear. So
Yeah.
later part, our application after this, never you can create anything that if it is a valid value, let's it's a valid value. Okay, will allow and let them save. It's works, right? It's work, right? So only
Okay. Okay.
no,
Mhm.
if you are passing the valid value, these are give the value, they works. If you're not passing the value, it will throw exception, right?
Right.
So after this, once this validations you apply, you are saying, hey, now our application is ensuring that any user cannot put any invalid value or not valid value. Means ki our JSON would be correct. That means JSON contain the name and email and even some value, proper value, right? Here you can apply lots of validations. We are not going to cover, but each fields user are going to sending to the server. Server can validate, right? Can verify. As per server rule, then they allow, it's not allow.
Right.
So, any confusion, any doubt? So, surely this is not needed. Let me remove them. But you can need it, you can write the code. Okay.
So this is another way.
Another way. This is the basic way as a Java coding. You are doing manually, right? You are ensuring that, hey, null, I'm not allowed to go into the save. But here you are not writing any code and saying just let this work is taken care by your framework, Spring framework itself. So I'm not writing any code. Just I'm saying user receive and save them. You're not going to check it's null or not null. Your responsibility you have to check this user is proper or not, right? Means who? Spring framework. So just here we are delegating our work to the framework. It's right.
Right.
How framework work with the help of some hint indication. That is indication you taken here. Hey, this column nullable false, this column nullable false, right? It makes sense
Yeah.
because whenever you are delegating your work to framework, you have to tell the hint, right, what they have to do.
Right.
So these are the some hint. Annotation is also second name, you can say metadata or hint to your framework, to your JVM, to your application. In this notice, in this user class, before learning this framework, whenever we are writing in a class, you are not annotating like this, like this, like this, like this. Why we are annotating? Annotating means we are giving extra information. To whom? Who are running my application. Why I'm saying this is the entity? Because I want whenever a Spring framework going to work, going to save the user object, they are going to save in this as a table.
Hmm.
So these extra information, additional informations known as a metadata are known as a annotation. Why we are want our application, our JVM, our Spring framework do something extra, do something more. What we want,
Hmm.
our desires, our want, how we communicate to our application, our framework, our JVM using this metadata. Metadata known as a annotations are extra information, are hint, your direction you can say, right?
Right.
So mostly notice in the Spring framework or any in future framework we're going to study, they are heavily work on the basis of annotation. How our REST API, this class considered as a controller, how control this method become as a API? Just this annotation, right?
Okay.
It makes sense. What is the
Yeah.
annotation? Annotation, you can say multiple terminology. Annotation, metadata, data about data, extra information, hint, identification, right? These are the terminology you can use for the metadata, right?
Right. Right.
So if you compare to our core Java code and the code we written and now the code we're writing, extra only things we are putting lots of annotation, right? Lots of,
Annotation. Yeah. Yeah.
and rest work taken care by your framework, which framework we are using. But overall, we are writing the plain Java code, writing the Java class, writing the method, like interface, inheritance. They are doing basic thing, right? Nothing extra. But if you look code is nothing, just some class, some method, some interface, some inheritance, right?
Right.
But they are now serving the specific purpose, a specific use case. Okay. So today we are started something and moving the different direction, right?
Yeah. So we didn't get a chance to create other table.
Yeah. Right. Slowly we'll continue, not an issue, but this is also very important for understanding basic what is happening behind the hood, right? Under
Right.
the, what the basic concept, right?
Right.
Good. Any question, any doubt till now?
No, we'll surely catch up.
Catch up and try to understand. Now we are not just learning one thing, Java as a language. We are just trying to develop application, and in
Right. Right. It's a
application
whole thing.
microservice, and
Mhm.
we are considering multiple things. Here, while building our microservice API, we are not just writing a code. We are also considering users, what the user data sending, what we are responding. We are considering, right? And also, we are talking about the storage location database. How our database can read, how can database inform, right? So, complete overview you are looking. User's perspective, your server perspective, your database perspective, right?
Right.
So sometimes this user request response considered as a UI application, right? UI application, graphical user interface, right? Generally,
Right.
web applications, UI applications are generally considered this part, request and response part. This is the microservice part. We are basically receiving the request, processing something, and storing something. This is known as a microservice or API or backend work. Known as a this is the backend work, backend engineer. And this is known as a database engineer, admin, PG admin, whatever you can say, administrative box. So
Right.
now we are not just running one language. We are trying to build the application. While
Right.
building application, we have to take in care user, our server, our storage,
Okay. So
right?
this is gonna be our total project. This is a big project.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Look like very simple REST API, but if you look the uses where they are going to use in the particular applications, right?
Right. Right.
So due to that, we have to here till now. Notice here I'm not giving any valid message. Let someone uh, pass the invalid email ID, right? Invalid value here, something. And notice here say five for internal. This is not a good you can say exposure to the customer, right? What is this, right? You should
Right.
say you are not passing the valid email ID as something are null, right?
Right. Right.
But here we are not focusing on nowadays user experience, user side. Currently, we are focusing on the backend side, how our server applications develop. And taken slowly, we have to understand how we can, our API can give the proper user response, right?
Right.
Proper value. Here must be say, in the request, we are not receiving valid email ID. Maybe check your JSON key value problem or value problem, right?
Right.
Here we know this is the problem our only the key part, right? This is the here we
Right.
know this is the invalid value. But why not I'm give a hint? Hey, user, your JSON have a might be a key problem or value problem. Can you check your key value? Right?
Right.
So this would be the good user experience, right? So later for lots of things we have to need to cover. I'm not so okay what the level of things we can cover, but this just I'm giving the hint what you have to learn, what we have to think while developing application. It's good
Right. Yeah.
for the day. Let's do practice. Any doubt, any question, please note, and we have to discuss. Okay.
Thank you.
Can I stop? Yes.
Yes. Yes.